Good afternoon. Happy Friday the 13th. This is Rixel the Gamer Dad coming to you with something different. Normally I am streaming Free Enterprise. We are switching it up today with the release of the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set. Live today we are doing a Magic the Gathering kind of how-to video. Grant, you can't expect me to do the same thing every time. It's still Final Fantasy. So I don't know how far we'll get on this particular stream. It should just be this one stream, but I've been known to ramble. So we'll see how far we get. The goal here is to talk about what Magic the Gathering is. Kind of give you the basics. I thought an emo only chat. Yes, let's turn that off. I don't know how. Yeah, let's turn that off. I guess I should have checked that. That's going back to let's see. Turn the emo only off. There we go. Emo only's no longer on. There we go. You can talk now. Yay! All right. Sorry. No, obviously it was still on there from yesterday after I had my wonderful run. But yeah, it's something that I'm sort of delving back into. Thank you, Robin, appreciate it. Delving back into now that the Final Fantasy set's out. I swear I'm not going to go neck deep into it, but I know there are a lot of people out there that are interested in Magic, especially since it's crossing over to the Final Fantasy universe. So thanks, Grant, appreciate it. It was a wonderful first race. It just came down to routing decisions. Yeah, had the Demist fight at the Riven room. Been a little bit more rewarding and a bit different story, but it definitely was fantastic, and I can't wait to do it again. So yeah, I need to go back and watch Joe's run. It was exciting, and I want to see what all he did. I mean, I only got like the first 15 minutes in before I had to cut off of it when I was watching it yesterday. But I already saw something I could pick up already, even early on. So I'll be excited to do it. So let's talk Magic the Gathering. So, and let me know if that music's too loud. I'm gonna try to put some music in the background just to do something different. I heard that was a thing. Heard it was a thing. No, I try not to. I try not to. I'm pretty good about that. So, Magic the Gathering is a trading card game that came out in 1993, created by a man named Mr. Richard Garfield. That will be the goal eventually. Yes, I plan on bringing some Cane flair to it. I definitely like Red and Black, so we'll get there a little bit later in the video. But Richard Garfield put this trading card game together as a method of teaching mathematics originally. It became a kind of a I don't want to say nerdy backroom phenomenon, but kind of gave the same yes, Roborelli as well. Kind of became the kind of the same mystery type thing, kind of this own like little world like Dungeons and Dragons did, but it's become more mainstream of late. The last couple of years, Magic the Gathering has branched out to kind of pair up with a lot of different franchises, such as Lord of the Rings, Fallout, Final Fantasy. It's really brought a lot more people to the fold. But with that comes a lot of people that are diving in for the first time, and Magic can be a very daunting game in the event that you have not played it. Nice. It can be a very daunting game if you have not played it. It does come with a steep learning curve. If you want to go top tier running it. So for those of you who are coming to me as a Free Enterprise runner, it's a very similar thing. You start off, you learn the very basics, you pile on it, pile on, and all of a sudden you get better and better. It's a lot of practice, but I want to show you how to get into it for relatively cheap entry, and that's going to be using the Magic the Gathering Arena software. And that will allow you to at least test it out before you go down, if you decide to go down to your local card shop or even do the Magic Online system. So let's talk about those things for a minute, and then I'll switch it over to where you're not looking at just the thing on the screen here. But Magic the Gathering started off as a trading card game. It was paper format. I think it was in the early 2000s they came out with Magic the Gathering Online, which is the digital other half of the coin for Magic the Gathering. So anything that you can buy in a paper form for Magic the Gathering, you can buy on Magic the Gathering Online. The value has value just like real life. You can't. I mean, you can get into it. You have to pay money to get into it. It holds value like paper format does. That everything like that. So there's even tournaments, whole yards. The problem they were realizing though is with a lot of the casual players, it's Magic the Gathering. If you're getting into it from the paper side of things or the digital side of things, it was a very expensive thing to get into. Trading cards not cheap. There's usually about 300 cards each set, which just comes out every 3 months. And starter decks themselves cost around you 15 to 20 bucks, and those are very basic decks that don't give you a little flexibility in building them, so you have to buy more boosters and stuff like that. It gets expensive real quick. So they came out with Magic the Gathering Arena about I think it's about 6 or 7 years ago now, and it's a totally free-to-play software that is cross-platform between PC. I believe it's no, I'm almost positive it's now PC and Mac, iOS, Android, so your tablet, your cell phone, it's all cross-platform, all within one account. It's all tied to your Wizards of the Coast account, which is who owns Magic the Gathering. So, all tied in together, so if you do stuff on the PC, you can run downstairs, pull up your phone while you're cooking, while you're laying in bed, pull up your tablet. It's all one thing. So, that being said, let's go ahead and talk about Magic the Gathering, and we'll go for the very basics and go from there. So let's take this screen off here. Your BlackBerry will not work. You need a new phone. Alright, so Magic the Gathering Arena, if you go to, and this is something I probably should have pulled up, it is, here I'll put this in chat. Your refrigerator, possibly, yes, actually. That may actually work. The link in chat now, or you can just type in your favorite search engine, Magic Arena, and it'll give you the link directly to the Arena software, or search for it in the App Store or the whatever, the Google Play Store, yep, and find it there. But when you first boot up, it's going to ask you to create an account. The account is just like any other game, but that will be cross-platform or which system you're using. And then it'll actually pull you into a tutorial. I've already done the tutorial. I didn't want to use that because it is a lengthy tutorial, which is good, and I encourage you to use it because it will walk you through a lot of what we're about to talk about today. But I encourage you to go through the tutorial. It's much better than it was when it first came out. So if you tried this a couple years ago and it was daunting and you kind of just gave up on it, I encourage you to go through the tutorial again. It will walk you through a lot of the different mechanics of the game, that sort of thing. It's very fleshed out, gives you free cards doing it, that sort of thing. So you actually end up with about roughly, I think, 500 free cards by the time you get through the tutorial. So it's very, very cool in that respect. So let's first talk about the Magic the Gathering cards. So Magic the Gathering, well, let's talk about the structure of the game, then we'll talk about the cards. So Magic the Gathering is basically traditionally a 1v1 game. So you're playing against another player, and you can play against AI in the arena, which is also cool too, for those of you who are not ready to go up against other people. And you are in the Magic the Gathering universe called a Planeswalker. You're a sorcerer of sorts, and the cards you hold in your hand are spells. So you'll be able to summon different things like creatures, spells. You'll be able to, summon artifacts to be able to do things for you as a spellcaster. The object is to defeat the other spellcaster. So let's look at different cards here. We're going to start with lands. I don't want to do this. Alright, So let's actually do this. Let's not do that. Let's do this. All right. So on your screen are different kinds of lands, and what lands do, they are your currency in Magic the Gathering. So there are 5 different types of mana, is what they're called in the game, that allow you to cast different spells. There's white mana, which are basically gained in the form of plains cards, islands, which give you blue mana, swamps, which give you black mana, mountains, which give you red mana, and forests, which give you green mana. Traditionally, if you open up a pack of cards, they're going to look. There's all different kinds of cool little art going on with this for those Final Fantasy fans. Here's some art for the plains. If you go to, I believe it's the island. You look at Final Fantasy 1 from there, but each different set has their own art that goes with it. And these are done, as you can see the name on the bottom of the card, these are done by actual artists that create the art for the cards. And these card arts actually match the digital form, the paper form in this respect. Some of the ones are digital only, but a lot of them reflect the paper form as well. So these different lands kind of give you mana, okay? So what the heck is mana? What does it do? Well, if we go into the different type of cards, and you can see on my screen, and I wish I didn't have that little thing on there. It looks cool when you're playing, but now it's kind of in the way, the symbol. But there are different types of cards. We have creatures, planeswalkers we'll talk about a little bit later, instants, sorceries, enchantments, artifacts. Those are your main ones. Battle and commanders for specialty cards, what have you. But let's talk about creatures because they're the easiest ones to talk about first. And we'll pick, let's pick white. Actually, no, because we've got Grant on stream, we'll pick black cards here. And I don't know how many black Final Fantasy cards I have so far, but we'll try it. I know this will be a fun one. Well, we'll worry about that in a second, but we're going to talk about Cecil for a moment. Disregard what's on the right-hand side of the card. Okay, let's talk about the main pieces of the card. And let's see if I can put I want to make sure my cursor shows up. Properties. Show additional settings. Capture cursor. Okay, you guys can't see my cursor. That's weird. Okay, so let's talk about Cecil. Let's talk about the different parts of a card. The top of the card, you're going to see where it says Cecil Dark Knight. That is the name of the card. The name of the card is important because the name of the card is unique to the card itself. In Magic the Gathering, like I said, it started in 1993. There's been hundreds and hundreds of sets that have been created. However, because the card name is unique, if you see a card in a later set that has the same name, you will see they are identical cards. Okay, they'll have the same abilities, they will have the same mana cost, they will just have a different art form, an updated art form. Cecil Dark Knight is a bad example of that because you'll probably only see him in this set. But let's talk about the cards because as a Final Fantasy fan, it's going to be something that's easily relatable for you. So Cecil Dark Knight is the title of the card, the name of the card, and then off to the right you see a skull there. That skull is the price of the card, or what we call the mana cost. So as you're playing Magic the Gathering, and we'll get to a walkthrough in a second of playing the game, each card has a cost, and that's based off how much mana you have in play. Different types of mana have different symbols. If we go back to the lands, you can see that, let's put the basic lands back up here. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, it gives you the skull. That's what swamps give you. If you look at plains, it's a little sun that's white. Teardrops for the blue ones, for blue mana. Mountains, this one does not have one on here, but let's look at some of the different ones. They've got there's Final Fantasy. They've got the fireball in the bottom left-hand corner. That's what that is. Or you get the big gigantic one here. That's why I like those. And then forests have the tree. So those are the symbols that represent the mana. So if we go back to the Cecil card, go back to black here. Cecil costs 1 black mana to play. Now I say black mana because there's a skull, that's the cost. So if you go down here to, let's go Shinra Reinforcements, it has a 2 and a black mana. So let's talk about converted mana cost. So traditionally, as you start out, you're going to have a deck that's built to all of one color, all black cards. So you're only going to need black mana, only going to need swamps to play things. So what this says is you need 2 of any mana plus 1 black mana specifically. Okay? And where that becomes a thing is when you start to play decks that have multiple colors in it. Black-white, black-red. You get any combination of mana to make 3. So you could have 2 mountains and a swamp. You can have 1 mountain, 2 swamps, 3 swamps. But you can't have 3 mountains because of those 3 mana, at least 1 has to be black because that's what that skull identifies. Okay? So we go to another card like, let's take Marlborough here. That's 4 and 2 black mana. So that costs 6 mana to play. 4 of them can be any color, but 2 of them must be black. Alright. So that's mana cost for you. Let's talk about the type of cards. So we talked about, I'm looking at creatures currently. So in the middle of the card, underneath this beautiful Tonberry art, you'll see it says creature. That's the type. So right now we're looking at all creatures. We'll look at different types of cards in a minute. But creatures are who's going to do, they're kind of like your battlefield soldiers. So as a wizard, as a sorcerer, or planeswalker, you're going to cast creatures to do your bidding. So on your turn, you're going to cast mana to play a creature card. It's going to come out and it's going to do your bidding for you. Beside creature, it tells you the different types of creatures. Now this is a salamander horror creature. That means nothing at this point in time, but there are cards that kind of have synergies that allow you to gain abilities if there are certain types of cards. So if we go to, and I should have had this available. Let's talk about what's a good one? This is a bad example. Let's go to red. Red always has stuff. This is bad form, guys, and I apologize right off the bat. This is terrible. Green. You gotta have green in here. There you go. Okay. No. Yep. Okay. So at the bottom of this card, it says at the beginning of your first main phase, forget all that. It says if you control 4 or more birds. Bird specific. It can have a bird in the art, does not matter. What's referring to is in the meat of the card where it says creature dash, it must say bird for that to be activated with that ability. Okay? That's what the creature type is. Alright, so let's go back to our black cards. Let's pull up the Tonberry again. To the right of where it says Salamander Horror is the set symbol. This obviously is a Final Fantasy card for the Final Fantasy set. These symbols come in 4 different colors. You usually have the basic black one, which in the right looks like black. This is called a common card. It's your most common. Use common again. It's usually the least valuable of the cards. They're very readily available. They aren't as strong as other ones typically. It's readily available. It's not as rare, so it's the rarity of the card. You've got the silver one, like you have Tonberry here, is an uncommon card. Is what they're called. A little bit more rare. Tends to be a little bit stronger, a little more expensive in the paper format. You've got Cecil here, which this is called a rare, so the gold symbol is rare. And then last but not least, if I can find one, yep, still got Sephiroth here. He has this orange color. That orange color is called Mythic Rare, and that's the rarest of the rarest. Typically going to be your strongest cards, your most valuable cards, because they're not readily available. That's hence what the word rarity means. So those are the rarity of your cards. So we've got the name, the mana cost, the pretty art, the type of card, so creature, the subtype, Salamander Horror, the set it comes from, Final Fantasy, and now we've got the big box in the middle. That's what this card does. In this case, a lot of this is not going to make sense yet, but this is kind of what the meat of the card does. So as we go through the rules of Magic, the one big rule of Magic is the rules of Magic are always consistent unless the card says do something otherwise. The card rule always trumps the basic rules. Okay, so that's what you're playing for, is there that middle section. The bottom of the card, you're going to have the artist who did the card art, and off to the right, and as far as the creature is concerned, you have what looks like a fraction. In this case, 2/1. What that's going to be is their power slash toughness. So think of this in terms of a RPG, such as Final Fantasy. Their attack power is 2. Their toughness or hit points or defense is 1. So they can do 2 damage in a turn, and they can only take 1 before they perish, before they die, before they are removed from the battlefield. We'll get that more here shortly when we look at actual game. So this is the structure of a creature card, okay? Let's look at instants. So instants and sorceries are, let's look at them both together, and I'll tell you the difference in a minute. These are your spells, okay? So let's look at Poison the Waters, okay? This is a black spell that costs 1 of any mana plus a black mana, so a total of 2 mana. It's a sorcery. You get to choose one. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn. So if we go back to the Tomberry here was 2/1. If you play this, he becomes a 1/0, which means his hit points are gone and he perishes. Or, target player reveals their hand. You choose an artifact or creature card. We'll talk about that in a minute. Player discards that card. So these are spells you get to cast. Okay. Other ones, destroy target creature. Seems self-explanatory. You gain 2 life. Also self-explanatory. Cost 3 and a black, 4 mana. Now, what's the difference between an instant and a sorcery? Well, obviously there are 2 stages to a round. You get to play your turn, your opponent plays their turn. Sorceries must be played during your turn. Only during your turn. So think of them as more, if you're a D&D player, they're your actual spells, they're not cantrips. If you are any sort of other, this is not a reactive spell. It's one you have to prepare and cast. It's a more focused spell. Okay, sorceries you must play on your turn. Instants are like cantrips or are flashy type spells that you play at theoretically at any time. You take turns going back and forth. We'll talk about how the phases of a turn work, but you can play instants on your opponent's turn as well as your own. Okay, they don't have to be played during certain times during your turn. Like this one here says, return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard or your discard pile, which is called a graveyard, because obviously that's where creatures go to die, to your hand. It costs you 2 and a black mana. Okay, so total of 3. Let's talk about enchantments. Enchantments are static effects. So I'm going to take this black one off because I only have 1, and that's not a very good one to talk about. Let's talk about this. Okay, let's use a Realm Reborn for all you 14 fans. Enchantments are static effects that do not end until they're removed from play. So unlike an instant or a sorcery, which is a spell that you cast and then done, enchantments are static buffs and debuffs, if you will. You pay the cost, which is this 4 and 2 green mana for a total 6, and the enchantment actually stays on the battlefield, and its effect stays in play until that enchantment is removed by a different card. Okay, so if you were to play this card, other permanents, which are things that stay on the battlefield, like your lands, your creatures, your enchantments, all those have that symbol called tap. We'll talk about tapping in a second. Add 1 mana of any color. That stays in play until that enchantment's removed. Okay? Last but not least, let's talk about artifacts. Artifacts can come in different forms. They can come in either equipment, which is something you equip to a creature. In this case, Black Mage's Rod. A equipped creature gets +1/+0. So you attach it to a creature. So if you take the Tomberry, who was 2/1, you attach this to him, he becomes a 3/1 because he's +1/+0. Okay? He also gets this little dialogue that's actually part of his card text now. It says, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Okay. And there's this little equip cost at the bottom. It costs 1 and a black mana to play it, but then you can only equip it by paying 3 additional mana. Okay, we'll see that in action once we start playing a game. So there's 2 different costs to equipment. You've got creatures who are also artifacts. That's why they have this in there. But artifact becomes a type of card. And then you got vehicles. That's a 301 level class. I just try to get you started at this point in time. So we won't talk about vehicles today. And let's talk about lands. I showed you the basic lands of swamps, plains, mountains, islands, forests. There are other lands that may do multiple things. So this Insomnia, Crown City, Trino, Dark City, land enters tapped. You can add either a blue mana or a black mana, a white mana or a black mana. We've got Baron for you Final Fantasy 4 fans, the blue mana or red mana. So we have lands that can do multiple things. So that is pretty much how the card works. Okay. So before your head starts to explode, let's walk through a very basic game with AI and kind of walk you through. And let's do gameplay. Let's turn off. Can I turn off the clock with AI? Let's see if I can do that. I may have to wait till I get started, but when you get through the tutorial, you're going to have a bunch of these starter decks to play with. Okay? So don't think you're like, oh no, I'm not going to have these things. You have a bunch of starter decks to play with. None of these, let's see, that's a lie. I'm trying to think of which ones I got. Let's do the cloud. So this is technically a starter that you can buy at the store, so I'm going to use it. And we're going to play against the bot here. Well, I'm going to walk you through the different parts of the match, okay? So Sparky's your AI. Sparky likes to talk to you. So let's talk about, let's see if I can change this now. It's not going to let me yet. Okay, so we'll worry about the clock in a second, but when you start off, you're dealt 7 cards. You have a choice to keep those 7 cards, or you can decide to what they call mulligan, okay? And the mulligan is you decide if you keep your hand or take in a mulligan. Each time you take one, you draw 7 cards. Every time you mulligan, you have to discard one card at least to the bottom of your deck for each time you mulligan, okay? So let's say I don't like the 7 cards. I'll tell you why we won't in a second. You can shuffle up, draw 7 more cards, but you can only start with 6. You have to put one at the bottom. If you don't like those 6 cards, you shuffle them up, draw 7, pick 5, put 2 at the bottom. That sort of thing. Okay? So why would we mulligan? Let's talk about this. So you start off with 4 lands, which lands are obviously necessary because that's what helps you play cards. That's your mana. Outside of that, I have a creature, which costs 1, and a white mana to play. I've got a sorcery, which costs 5, and 2 white mana to play, and an artifact equipment, which is 3 and 1 red mana to play. So let's talk about the course of play and what mana it does and how it comes into play. So as your turn starts, you are allowed to play 1 land per turn. 1. So in order to get to 7 mana, typically you have to go to 7 turns before you can play this card. Okay? Castle Guard takes 2 turns. Warrior Sword takes 4 turns just to play it. And then, as I said, you've got this equip down here, which costs 5. So technically you need 5 turns to actually do anything with it. Okay? So this may not be typically the best hand to play with, so we're going to mulligan. And this is better, okay? I've got 3 lands. I've got one that costs a 1 and a white, 1 and a white, 2 and a red. And we're going to go ahead and keep those 6 and put this Warrior Sword at the bottom, okay? So it's going to ask me which one I want to put at the bottom. Like my nice Golbez card backs there, and we're done.
I'm ready to play.
Alright, so Sparky went first. I'm going to see if I can put... Let's show the phases. Let's not auto tap. Okay, we're going to do that for help and teaching. Okay, so Sparky went first. Sparky played a swamp for their turn, and then they didn't play anything else, so they passed the turn to me. If you start the game, you do not draw a card. Every other turn in the game, again, unless the card tells you otherwise, you get to draw a card at the beginning of your turn. So as you can see, we're back up to 7 cards. We drew Slash of Light. Okay. So let's talk about what we have. We have 2 planes. We have a mountain. We have Adalbert Steiner from Final Fantasy. They used to tell you what was on here. It does if you... There we go. Final Fantasy 9. Alright, he has a keyword that says lifelink. Okay. And that tells you the keywords in Arena, which is also nice if you're learning how to play. So in addition to him being a 2/1 creature, and getting +1/+1 for each equipment you control, which we don't currently, he also has lifelink, which means
I can see your hand.
when he is dealt damage by a creature, a planeswalker, or spell with lifelink, also causes the controller to gain that much life. Okay? So what that means, if Albert Steiner attacked for 2, you get 2 life when he deals damage. Done.
It's important to take
Curl
your time.
is a cat beast, a 2/2 creature for 1 and a white. He has this added thing where once he's on the battlefield, or she, if you pay 1 and a white and tap the creature, you get to tap target non-enchantment creature. We'll show you why that's important here as we do the course of the game. It's a pretty cool ability. We've got Lightning, Menace. We'll talk about Menace as we go through the game. Whenever Lightning deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may also play that card for as long as you control Lightning. And then the Slash of Light deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control, plus the number of equipment you control each target creature. This is an instant spell. Parts of the board. Battlefield, hand, library, which is your deck of cards that has not been used yet, graveyard, which is all your discarded cards, exile.
Keep going. You can do this.
Sparky keeps talking to you. Exile are cards that have been removed completely from play. Okay? So it's our turn. I'm going to play a Plains. Why did I play a Plains? It didn't matter in this case, but I know I have a couple cards that require you to have a Plains. I don't have anything I can play. Nothing's lit up because I have to have at least 2 mana. 1 in a white. Or 2 in a red. Or 1 in a white. So my turn's over. We're going to pass back over to Sparky. Sparky's going to play another Swamp. Didn't play anything else either. So pass the turn back to me. So now we can start playing stuff. Okay, so we drew a Plains. We now have 2. So you see how Albert Steiner and Kroll light up. That means we can play them now. We have 1 and a white mana. Okay? So we're going to play the Curl. Okay? To play it, you have to pay 1 and a white mana, it says. Okay? So in order to play mana, you have to do what we call tap it, which is turn it to show that's used. Okay? That's 2. We've paid it, so it comes out in the battlefield. Okay, let's see if I can pause this real quick. What's my pause button? Holy cow, it's fast. I don't have a pause button. Okay. That's cool. So let me let me walk through what Sir Sparky did over here. Sir Sparky drew a card, played a Swamp as their 1 land for their turn, so they now have 3 mana. Malakir Coldblade costs 1 and a black mana to play the creature, so in order to play that, they played 1 and a black, so 2 mana, tapped them, and played. They left 1 mana unused, and their turn is over. So let's talk about this little swirly thing going over on this 1/1 Vampire Warrior. When a creature comes into play, the turn they come into play, they have what we call Summoning Sickness. Okay? All that means is they cannot attack or do anything that would cause them to tap
You can do
on
this.
their turn, on your first turn they're played. You have to wait till it comes back around before you can do that. Okay? So that's why the Curl no longer has the swirl on him. And that's why he's lit up, because I can actually use his ability that says I can tap him. Okay? Malakir Coldblade has a swirl. He cannot attack this turn until it's Sparky's turn again. Okay? So we've got a Plains. I'm going to play a Mountain. That way I can play Lightning when I want to. So we have 3 mana. 2 whites and a red. Lightning's lit up because we have two mana and a red. I can play anything I want to now, actually. Except for another land. So let's talk about combat. Okay. So there are different phases. There's what we call the draw phase. They have the first main phase where you play your creatures, you can play sorceries, and then it goes to combat phase. So we have draw and upkeep, first main phase, combat. So we're going to go to combat. We can choose to attack if we want. Now, how Magic differs from some other games, such as like Hearthstone, if you've played that, is you are always attacking the other planeswalker, the other person. Okay? I'm never attacking who's on the board. I'm always attacking the other person. And why that's important, I'm going to put these stops on here so we can see that when it's their turn, is it's my job to decide who attacks. The opponent then gets to choose who defends the attack. Who stands up for it? Who stands to guard their general, their spellcaster, their planeswalker? So if I choose to attack Sparky here, okay? They can choose to defend. Let's go back to the power and toughness of a card. The Curl has 2 power and 2 toughness. You see in the bottom right hand of the card. 2 power, 2 toughness. 2 attack, 2 hit points. Their Malakir Coldblade has 1 power, 1 toughness. So if he chooses to block with that against my Curl, the Malakir Coldblade will do 1 damage to my 2 toughness, or 2 hit points. It means the Curl will still live, but the Curl will do 2 damage to the Malakir Coldblade's 1 toughness, 1 hit point, which will kill it. So, traditionally speaking, they may not choose to sacrifice their creature to block the damage, because everybody starts with 20 hit points, and that is still a resource on its own. You don't lose till you get to 0, so you can afford to take some hits. That's okay. So we're going to go ahead and attack. Okay. After I declare who's attacking, I can choose to do any instant spell before my attacker does anything. Okay. This says Slash of Light deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of equipment you control to a target creature. Notice it has a, and I'm going to put this up here. You can't see it. There's a 1 to the left of the card art while it's in my hand that tells me what the number would be. Since I have 1 creature, that number would be 1 if I decided to cast it. So yes, could I cast the Slash of Light for 1 and a white right now? And deal the 1 damage to the Malakir Coldblade? Absolutely, I could. And kill it. I'm not going to for the sake of this tutorial. I'm just going to say go ahead and attack. Then it's up to Sparky to decide if anybody's going to block the Curl. He chose not to. Okay, so we're on the after blocker stage. So this damage is going to go through unblocked. Okay. So damage. Now we're on to our second main phase. Okay, so you've got the upkeep and draw phase. First main phase. Combat. Second main phase. So I can play any creature I want to. I can play instants. I can play sorceries. I just can't play another land because I've already played a land for this turn. Okay. I am going to choose not to play any cards. Actually, no, I'm going to put Albert Steiner out here. Pay 1. And let's use the red mana. So this will be my 1 white mana and my red mana. Okay? It automatically passes my turn because I only had 1 mana available and I can't play anything. So pass the draw phase. They're now on their main phase. They drew a card. They played a 4th swamp. And now they're playing Skeleton Archer. It costs 3 and a black, so they tapped all of their mana. When this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to any target and it's a 3/3. So when it enters play, which means comes onto the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target. It could be a creature, it could be me. Let's see what they decide to do. Here's the ability. It's dealing damage. You see this blue arrow. It's going to deal damage to Steiner. Steiner only has 1 toughness, 1 hit point. So that damage is going to kill the Steiner. Pow. Now, if you remember, Malcolm Coldblade said whenever a creature in opponent control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So I'm their opponent. Steiner just died. So now this actually effect comes into play. That makes the Coldblade a 2/2 now. So they are a 1/1 plus this blue is a 1/1 counter on it. So it's now a 2/2. Let's pass to combat. Wait a second. Why didn't I block with Curl? It's a 2/2. Any creature that is tapped cannot block. So you have to tap in order to attack. You have to tap to be able to use certain abilities. But if they are tapped, they do not untap till your next turn, and they are not able to block. Okay, so likewise, when it's my turn next, this Coldblade will not be able to block. However, the Archer,
Whoa!
because it's not tapped, can block.
Thought I saw something.
Okay? So anything that's tapped won't untap till your next turn, beginning of your next turn, and it is not able to block. Okay? So now it's my turn. I draw another Plains. We now have 4 mana. I only have 1 creature, so that Slash Light is only going to do 1 damage. Really doesn't help me. So I'm going to play Lightning Security Agent. So what she does when she comes in from Final Fantasy 13 is she's a legendary creature, human soldier, with a keyword of Menace, which means it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. If you saw earlier, you can block 1/1, but if you have Menace, you have to have 2 creatures block you. Okay? Whenever lightning deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. Okay, so exile means remove it from play. But you can play that card for as long as you control lightning. As soon as she's dead, that card's gone.
You can do this.
Okay? Pay 2 in a red. Let's go ahead and get our red out of the way. We need to pay 2 more. 1, 2. And she comes into play. So you got this little symbol down here. That's what Menace is. That's so you can remember it without looking at it. All the key information on the card is still on there, on the arena game. You can hover over it. You can right click to make it even bigger. Now we can choose to attack. But the Kroll is a 2/2. The Skeleton Archer is untapped, which means it can block. It is a 3/3. Damage is dealt simultaneously, unless a card says otherwise. So I will do 2 damage to the 3 toughness. They will do 3 damage to my 2 toughness. So the Archer will live. The Curl will die. Damage does not stay on the character unless it says otherwise. And that's a very rare case, actually. So, though I will not kill the Archer, and it goes down to 1 hit point during this combat, whenever Sparky starts their turn, they'll go back up to 3 hit points, 3 toughness. So it's not worth it for me to attack here. So I'm going to say no. It's now Sparky's turn again. They'll play their 5th Swamp and pass their turn to me. Now, they have 4 cards in their hand, 5 mana, and they didn't play any of them. That either means they have very, very expensive cards, or this is a sure sign that they have some sort of instant in their hand that they're waiting to cast during my turn. Why do you wait till the other player's turn to cast an instant? Because you want to make sure you have all the information you have on what they plan to do. But in addition, your mana untaps when your creatures do at the beginning of your own turn. So if I cast during Sparky's turn, when it comes back to my turn, I get all of my mana back. Plains. Cloudbound Moogle from Final Fantasy 14 costs 3 and 2 white to play. It's got 2 keywords on it: flying, which means it can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach. Neither one of these are flying, so it goes right over top of them. Deals damage directly to the player. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creatures. I can put it on any of them, either the Moogle himself, the Curl, Lightning, any one of them. Or it's got Plane Cycling 2. This means for 2 mana, that's the 2 there, I can discard this and search my library for a Plains card, reveal it, and put it in my hand, then shuffle. Why on earth would you need to use that? Well, let's just say we had a bunch of mountains down here, and we needed a second white mana.
I hope I win.
We can always throw this win
But
to go find
I
a white
hope you win
mana
too.
and put it in our hand. That way we have it. But I'm going to do two things here. Alright. Follow me. Curl for 1 and a white and tap it. We can tap
Let's get moving.
target non-enchantment creature. Okay. If you recall, Lightning has Menace, which means she can only be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. They're both up and not tapped, so they both can block currently. If I use Curl's ability and tap this guy for 1 and a white, that one cannot block now. I can't attack with this one, and Curl won't be able to block next turn. But now Lightning can't be blocked, because they only have one person who can block. So I'm going to attack. So ask me if I'm going to do any extra shenanigans. I do not. They can't block because they don't have 2 or more to block. Uh-oh. And this is why they kept all of that mana readily available. So before Lightning can do any damage, they're paying 3 mana to cast Murder, which is a 1 and 2 black instant spell to destroy the target creature. Alright. So, this is where the chess game, the mental shenanigans come into play. Currently, my Slash of Light gives me 2 damage because I have the Curl and the Lightning. Once he removes the Lightning, or she, once they remove Lightning, I'll be down to 1. Which means this will only give me 1 damage. Because it's an instant, before this actually resolves to kill Lightning, I can say, well, you know what? In response to you playing Murder, I'm going to play Slash of Light. It does 2 damage. I'm going to kill off your Cold Blade while I can. Okay? I'm going to pay 1 and a white. This is called a stack. Mine does it first, then theirs does it after. It's called a stack. You're literally stacking cards on top of each other, and then they all resolve in the backwards order. Okay? They played a swamp for their turn. All they did was attack with the archer because the Curl was tapped. That's it. So, playing our land for turn, we now have 4, 5, 6. So he tells you there's 4 here. I mean, you can count them. There's little, I mean, you can count them, but it tells you there's 4. Just like it tells you there's 6 there. It's nice. Alright, so we can either play a 2/2 creature that whenever you attack, target attacking equipped creature gains menace on a turn. We don't have any equipment to equip a creature. Or we can play
Take your time.
this Cloudbound Moogle that we just talked about last time. I'm going to play the Moogle because that's flying. They don't have a flying creature. So ask me, are you trying to play the card, or are you trying to use the plane cycle ability to go get the planes out of your deck? I want to actually play the card. Well, then you need to pay 3 and 2 whites. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
Now it's going to ask me, okay, it entered. Put a 1/1 counter on a target creature. I'm going to put it on the Moogle. Here's my thought process. The Moogle can fly with no blockers, since we do 3 damage every time instead of 2. In addition, it becomes a 3/4, which means if it decides to block the archer, it will kill the archer, dealing 3 damage to it, but its 3 damage will only deal 3 to my 4 toughness. There we go. Archer can't block because it's tapped. I can attack with a Curl, but with 6 mana back, I fully expect Sparky to do something. They did not. That's surprising. Next turn, 7th Swamp. Krovikan Scoundrel is a 2/1 creature. That's it. Nothing else. It's a very common card, For 1 and a black, it's just 2 on creature. This is what we call flavor text. You can tell by because it's italicized. Let's see. View printed card. Oh, that's okay. Okay, so you see the printed text here. What can I do for
It's
you?
important to take your time.
Curl says a lean and limber predator. That's just called flavor text. It kind of gives you insight into the lore behind the cards, that sort of thing. All right. So let's talk about what we can do. Tapping with the curl really does us no good, because then it can't attack and it can't block. And you would normally do that if we did last time, so that something on their team can't block. Well, the Moogle is going to fly over them anyway. Okay? The other piece of this is if the Moogle attacks, it can't block. And part of the reason why we made the 3/4 is so it can block this archer. So here's another part of the chess game you decide you want to do.
Keep with it.
I'm going to... Again, I need to make sure I stop in their steps all the time. I'm going to decide to not attack with either of my creatures. If he attacks with both of these, I can trade my curl for the scoundrel, and I can kill the archer with the Moogle, but the Moogle will still live. I'm taking 2 creatures off their board for 1 of mine. However, in my second main phase, I still have all this mana available. I'm going to play one of these creatures, so I have another blocker on the board. Now I'm going to end my turn. So I drop another card. They have 3 in hand now. Play a land, so they have 8 now. That's a lot of mana. Typically games don't go quite this far. They passed on their main phase. They're going to attack. They chose not to attack. So what I'm going to do is, at the end of their turn, I'm going to use this ability and tap their archer. Because it won't untap until their next step, or their next turn, and mine will untap as soon as my turn begins. It's a very common way to use one of your abilities. So I tapped it, used my mana, and now on my turn, everything untaps, and that stays tapped. Play Thunder Mountain. So I'm going to put pressure on Sparky. I'm going to attack with all 3. So yes, the Scoundrel can kill either the Shopkeep or the Curl. Actually, I might keep the Curl back. That way we can do the same thing next turn and tap one of them. So they can either choose to block and trade here, but they'll still take the 3 damage, or let both go through for 5 damage. Let's see what they decide to do. They'll let all 5 go through. Second main phase, I'm going to put another creature out for 1 and a red. So now I have another blocker. End of my turn. Now, also another thing I can do is before they attack, I can use this and say, sorry, this guy's not attacking this turn. Because he's tapped. Here's one of those what we call dual lands that we saw earlier that allows you to use red and a white, but the drawback to be able to use it for either one of the colors is it comes in already tapped. So you don't get to use it this turn. But next turn, I can use it for either red mana or white mana. Now I'm going to put some serious pressure on this time. I'm attacking for 2, 4, 6, 9 to get them down to 2 life. I'm taking this chance knowing that if they let all 9 go through, they only go down to 2 life, but I have no one to block. They know I have no one to block because I have no cards in hand either. So I can't play another creature on my second main phase. The question is going to be, do they think they can beat me next turn? Or at least get this Moogle off the playing field? Because next turn, the Moogle can just fly right over everybody and do 3 more damage. So let's see what they decide to do. They took it all. Okay. So they have 2 health. We have 15. They're going to go to combat. They're attacking for 5. I have no blockers because they're all tapped. And they're passing turn. So, unless... Well, no. I have 4 creatures. They have no one to block. Unless they have a way to get everybody off the board, we're going to win.
Want to play again?
That's it. It's a game of Magic. So, from here, let's talk about decks and how to build them and how they're done. Okay? So yeah, it was cool. It was a starter deck, what have you. It was built for you. I've played a little bit. How do you know what goes in a deck? Okay, let's take this mono white soldier deck that I currently built. I just built it yesterday, and we're gonna use this little graph here to talk about what goes in a deck. So traditionally speaking, in a what they call the standard format, okay, which is what a lot of people play, your deck size has to be at a minimum 60 cards. They go be as large as you want, but it has to be at least 60 cards. Now let's talk to you about how that can be misleading. Okay? If you enjoy math, you know what the law of probability is. If you're trying to get your best cards out into play, you want them to appear as often as possible when you draw your cards from your deck, from your library. Except for basic lands, you are not allowed to have more than 4 copies of the same card in your deck. So go back to that Tonberry we talked about earlier, or actually let's talk about this guy, because he's pretty awesome. Where is Mr. Cloud? Okay, look at Cloud. He's a good guy. He's pretty awesome. When he enters, you get to search your library for an equipment card, put in your hand. As long as he's equipped, an ability of Cloud or the equipment triggers additional time. It's a fantastic card. You're only allowed to have 4 in your deck at once. Now, whether that comes into play is, if you have a deck of 60, and you have 4 cards, 1 out of 15 chance to draw it. Yes, that changes once you draw your starting hand of 7 additional cards, but from the onset, it's 1 out of 15. If you have a deck of 100 cards, and you can still only have 4 copies of Cloud, you only have a 1 out of 25 chance of drawing him. Okay? Keep in mind, we went to 8 turns there in that game. They had 8 swamps out, and he played that land every turn. You rarely get to 8 turns. Well, that's usually on most Magic games lasting between 6 to 8 turns. Somewhere around there. Okay? Some go longer, some go shorter. Depends on what the deck type is, that sort of thing. So, it is often recommended that if it is a minimum of 60 cards, you make a deck of 60 cards. Here's the second rule. Traditionally speaking, you want to have 40% of your cards to be lands. Okay? 24 out of 60 is your lands. Okay? That's rule 2. Rule 3. Make sure you have what your main win condition is going to be. And this is going to differ from deck to deck, color to color. Okay? Typically speaking, the colors of Magic, and we'll see here, actually you see the bottom of my screen. Let's do that. Red, black, blue, white, green. They all have different archetypes for their playstyles. White is centered around life gain, purity, life. It's basically what its color is in typically in real life. It's built around smiting, you know. It's built around life gain. It's built around, you know, building up characters to gain life. It's all about life gain, okay? Black, as we just saw who we're playing against, is all about killing creatures. Okay? Enchant creature, -2/-2. Destroy creature. Additional cost, sacrifice a creature. Sacrifice a creature, destroy target creature. It's all about your zombies, your vampires, your warlocks. It's your dark color. Blue. Blue is about control. So a lot of cards that are in the blue format will have control. Target control. Let's see here. It's a good one. Counter target non-creature spell unless the controller plays 2. When this aura enters, tap enchant a creature. It doesn't untap during its control untap step. Counter target creature or battle spell unless the controller plays 4. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Mill a card, which means make them discard a card. I would take a card from their library and put it right in their discard pile. They like doing card draw, so draw additional card, draw 2 cards, draw a card, draw a card. So that's all blue. Blue is about controlling slowing down the game and controlling how the play works. We skipped red because I went to white first. Let's go back to red. Red is all about fierce tempo, speed. A lot of its cards come with the keyword of haste, meaning it doesn't have summoning sickness. It comes in, it can attack as soon as it hits the battlefield. A lot of it also is built on dealing direct damage. Deals 2 damage to any target. Deals 1 damage to each creature, 2 damage to each creature. As long as you have instant sorcery cards, this gets haste. 2 damage to any target. 1 damage to each opponent, each creature they control. It's all about direct damage and speed. Okay? And then lastly, green. Green is all about nature, but growing big creatures. Big, massive creatures. Target creature gets +3/+3 till end of turn. Target creature gets +1/+1 for each basic land you control. Target gets +3/+1. Put 2 1/1 counters on it. Let's see. Target creature is +2/+2 to end of turn. If it was kicked, meaning you play an additional cost for the spell, you get another +1/+1 on each creature. It's about building these big creatures. And also what we call ramping, giving you additional mana. So as you know, most lands you get 1 land per turn, and it gives you 1 mana. Creatures like this, you get them on the battlefield, they can give you mana too. So they cost 1. First turn you play a forest for green mana. You play Land of War Elves. It's got summoning sickness. They can't tap or attack. Next turn, you play another forest. You have 2 forests now, and a Land of War Elves. You now have 3 mana, because you can tap that one for mana. So whereas your opponent only has 2 mana, you now have 3. You play another Land of War Elves, and now you've got 5 the next turn. And the opponent only has 3. And that's what we call ramping. So that's what the green one's for. And then you've got this colorless one. They kind of just march to the beat of their own drummer. So you've got artifact creatures that defender, enters. They don't cost any. You can just play any different color you want to. They just cost mana. They don't cost any sort of specific mana to use. Okay? And they're more or less your robotic type, your cold, a lot of shields, a lot of mechanical creatures, that sort of thing. And then you've got what we call our multicolors. Let's see if I can show you. Anything with this gold on the top. So you've got the gold. And also have the 2 different colors. There are multiple colors to play. So you need multiple colors to play it. So we were playing a mono white deck earlier. And this over here is a mono white deck. But these are ones that you play. You get +3, a white and a blue. So now things like this one comes real handy because it satisfies both. Not both the same turn. You can tap it once for white and the next turn for blue. But it gives you the ability to play multiple colors of cards. Okay. So, we know we need 60 cards, we know we need 24 lands, and we need our win condition, okay? So let's look at my deck here. Can I put this deck out here? You used to be able to. I want to put it here where you can see it. Deck details. Nope. Oh, here we go. Exactly what it is. I knew you could do that. Alright, so let's talk about my 60 cards. And that may be a little difficult for you to see from there, so I'll highlight over top of them as I go. But what this has done now is it's actually put it in what we call converted mana cost layout. This costs 1. These all cost 2, whether it be 1 in a blue or 1 in a white or 2 white. These all cost 3, so on and so forth, okay? So 4, 5, 6 or more. And these are my lands. Okay, so I have my 24. My fancy plains. And Ishgard, 14. That one's cool because it gives me just white mana, but also, instead, I can play it as a sorcery for 3 and 2 white, and it returns 2 target artifacts from a grave or enchantments from my graveyard to my hand. So let's talk about how my win condition is. My win condition here is built around soldiers. Okay, so I have a couple spells here, or a couple of enchantments that I plan on doing. So I've got. So we got Valiant Veteran here. Other soldiers you control get +1/+1. You can exile this from your graveyard and get 1 for each soldier you control. So every single one of my cards are soldiers. This is a soldier. When it enters, create another soldier. This is a soldier. This one's a soldier. Whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, create another soldier. So this is the synergy for my deck are soldiers, okay? So I'm building around soldiers. My condition here is I'm going to beat them with brute force, okay? I've got a lot of things that give counters. Begin a combat, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control. As we saw, or if you put one or more +1/+1 counters or put on this creature, draw a card. This one gives +1/+1 to other soldiers. It's about making the cards bigger as they come in. So, but when this creature enters, +1/+1 card. So you get that idea. How do I make sure I don't die while I'm trying to do this? Okay, so I have to have another way to make sure that happens. All right. So this card says target permanent gains hexproof, which means it can't be the target of spells or abilities you control. Or I can pay an additional 1, and it gains hexproof and indestructible, means the effects that say destroy don't destroy it. And if it's a creature, it can't be destroyed by damage. Or I can gain hexproof, indestructible, and gain 6 life. Helps me stay in the game longer. Cloud we already talked about. He's going to make sure things trigger multiple times. Pacifism. Enchanted creature cannot attack or block, so I'm going to use that on their creatures, so they can't attack or block me. Cooped Up, same thing, and I can even exile it if I need to, because their abilities will still work, they just can't attack or block. Banishing Light, exile target non-land permanent until this enchantment leaves the battlefield, so it takes it completely out of play. Stasis Snare, same thing. It has the flash ability, which means I can play this enchantment. Enchantments are normally played on your turn. I can play this anytime I cast an instant. And then I've got the ultimate weapon, which is an equipment costs 7 and then 7 to equip it. Target creature gets +7/+7 when it attacks, destroy target creature foe controls. So my idea here is to go ahead and, as I am making my army bigger and bigger, I want to make sure they can't do anything. So that's my win condition of this deck. Okay, so we're going to discard changes. Let's go to, let's look at the Sephiroth deck. Well, let's look at the red aggro deck. So this is another monocolor deck. It's all mountains. I have 23 instead of 24 lands, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But the idea, like any red deck, is go as fast as you possibly can. But I'm building this around goblins. So I've got this guy. Haste. Tap and sacrifice an artifact, and you play +1/+1 counter to each goblin you control. I've got create goblins. I've got this guy. Create X 1/1 goblin creatures with X the number of goblins you control. I've got this guy here. Other goblins you get +1/+1. So it's all goblins. That's my theme of my deck. And my goal here is to beat them as fast as I can. So I've got cards with haste. I've got direct damage spells. Deal 2 damage to any target for 1 red mana. I've got Scorching Shot, 5 damage to a creature for 2 red mana. I've got creature you control get +2/+0, or create 2 more goblins. Target creature gets +3 and 0 and first strike. So remember we talked about damage being done simultaneously. First strike means that this creature is going to do damage first before the other one does. So if you both have, let's say, 2/2 creatures, and your creature's got first strike, it's going to deal damage to their creature first, and it's going to die before it attacks yours back. Okay? So, why did I only put 23 mountains in? This deck's most expensive card is this for 5 mana. And really, it's an equipment. It's not a deal breaker if it does or does not get in. So it's my most expensive card here is a 4-cost card, which means at any given time I only need to have 4 mana out. You saw the previous game where they had 8 swamps out. I can afford to cut 1 or even 2 cards. This usually is only done in red decks to be able to put more creatures in my deck. Because the idea is, as you see, I have 4, 8, 12, 14 1-cost cards. And then I have another 6, 7, 10, 12 2-cost cards. So I have 26 cards that only cost me 2 mana. So that's why I can do that. So that's that deck. Let's look at one that Wizards of the Coast built. This is built by Wizards of the Coast. You can literally go buy this at the store. If you do, it will come with a code that allows you to get it in Arena for free. So play both. So this is a black and blue deck, so it's going to be centered around control and removal, or killing. Draw cards. Surveil card, meaning you look at the top card of your library, you can either keep it there or put it in your graveyard. Whenever you cast on a creature spell, put a 1/1 counter and this creature can't be blocked. Once the creature dies. So that's the idea of this one, is this big baddie here. When Silveroth enters, creatures your opponent control all get -2/-2 until end of turn. So that's the first thing he does. So they've got a bunch of those red cards that I just had out there. He kills a lot of them as soon as he gets in the battlefield. Now, when a creature your opponent controls dies, you put a +1/+1 counter of Sephiroth. So if he kills like 5 goblins, excuse me, as he comes in, he immediately comes in as a 9/9. He has a thing called Vigilance too, which means attacking doesn't cause him to tap, which means he can block on the other person's turn, even though he attacked. That's a cool keyword there. Other guy is Zondi, the Dark Mage from 553. He's got Menace, but he gets +1/+1 for each non-creature, non-land card in your graveyard. So if we look at the stats, this has got 7, 13, 14 cards that are not creatures or lands. Okay. We got equipment. If you do, the creature gets first strike and must be blocked this turn if able. We've got a dual land here. Okay. So that's what this one's based around. Create token copies. We'll return creature card from our battlefield to the graveyard to the battlefield. Temporal threat. Tap all creatures your opponent controls. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So how you would do this is on your first main phase, you will play Ultimacia. All their creatures would tap, which means all your creatures were going to go through unblocked. So hopefully you have a handful of creatures going through. Each one of those is going to do combat damage to the player, and you're going to draw a card. That's how it's built. So, you see these bars? That's called a mana curve. See this one's empty? That's because we have no cards in here that don't cost 1 mana. That's typical of a blue deck. But this is something that you can decide as you're going through. This is called a mana curve. You have 10 that are 2 cost, 11 that are 3 cost, average 3.3. That's how fast you know your deck's going to be. If we go back to the mono red deck I built, if we look at its mana curve, you can see it's very, very fast. Average is 2. Alright? That's how you know how fast your deck is. Traditionally speaking, blue decks are slower, green decks are slower, but green decks compensate for the slow play by the mana ramp, using the elves, using other things to beef up their creatures. Blue controls the pace by doing the counter spells or putting cards back in the opponent's hand, controlling the pace of play on the battlefield. So that's that. So when you're building a deck, let's go ahead and build a deck real quick. Let's say real quick, we'll take a few minutes to do it. You're gonna start on a deck. I want to go back to this format. It's easier for me to. You're gonna select the format. Standard is the typical format that's played as you start. What that is the last, I believe it is roughly 2 years worth of sets that have come out are all legal for play. Anything prior to that is not legal in this format. That's a way to keep the playing field somewhat level. Okay? You get into something like historic or timeless, any card that's ever been printed is eligible for play. Now, that gives you all sorts of creative possibilities, but you're also having to deal with people who've been playing for 20 years, people that have gone out and bought more expensive cards, not necessarily in arena, but in real life. That's what these things are. So you've got different type of formats here. If you go up in this little book here,
Good to see you again.
you can click on formats. It will teach you what the different formats are. Okay, so it won't let you go in blind. Pioneer, like standards, is true to paper format. However, it's non-rotating, which means that cards are legal eternally. So, if cards present in arena started, was it 12? It's really that long ago. But think about ones that are only on arena. So, to get different profiles, different formats you can play. Here's your rotation. Okay. So we're going to go to building a deck. We'll play the plus. First thing you do is select the format. We'll do standard. Alright, so it's automatically going to filter your cards which are available in standard. Okay. What I like to do is decide first off, which color do you want to play? Okay. I don't think Grant is still in chat. I don't have a cane anyway. But I do have a Golbez, and he is blue and black. So we're going to build blue-black. Blue-black. Next thing I like to do is make sure everything's format legal. Okay. And I like to start with my rares and mythic rares first. Those are going to be your big cards. Those are really going to drive your win condition most of the time. Okay. So all these are ones that are rares or mythics, blues or blacks. Okay. So we've got this guy that says whenever he does combat damage to a player, put a course counter on it. If there are 4 more course counters on him, you may cast a discarded card without paying its mana cost. This guy says you know maximum hand size. At the beginning of combat, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, put counters on target creature you control. Okay, you got this guy, or this girl I should say, where we cast a legendary spell and tap her. I don't have any legendary spells, I guess I have a couple. We've got Drolf, Whenever you cast a spell during your turn, other than your first spell that turn, create a 2/2 blue black zombie. Whenever it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each other zombie that entered your control this turn. You get Go-Go from Final Fantasy VI. So it has an X in there. X means you can be any number. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control X times. So in this case, if you pay 2 and tap it, it would be 1/1 tap, which means you control copy target 1 time. So basically, it's a way of doing half of the time. But where's the guy I want to do? He should be all the way over. I know you're here. Where are you, buddy? Should be blue-black, I thought. I can search for him. Let's just reset this real quick and do Golbez. Buddy, I know you're here. That's odd. I know I got him yesterday. Alright, I guess we won't do Golbez. Let's do Cecil. In that case, I'm going to do black-red. Alright, so here are my rares and stuff. I've got Ralbon. First Strike Pirates. First Strike Goblins. Whenever you attack, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, or X the number of attacking creatures. If Mishra and a creature named Phyrexian Dragon Engine are attacking you, and you both own and control them, exile them and meld them into this thing here, called Mishra Lost to Phyrexia. It is tapped and attacking. So if we go back, this is a fun card. So if we go back to this guy, so if we got the Dragon Engine on, and we've got this guy. If they're both attacking, we now make them into what, a 9/9. Alright, so let's build something finally. Alright, so let's do... I'm going to do that card, because that looks like fun. I don't think that's my win condition, because that's very... it's very niche. This is black and red. Flying, First Strike, and Haste. Okay, if I only have 1 copies of these, it's going to be hard to get those, and they cost a lot. Let's talk about building a smaller thing here. We've got Gilgamesh. Okay. Choose target creature control. I need multiple copies of stuff though. We definitely need the dragon engine to match with that one. Other outlaws you control have haste. When this creature enters. Let's do that. Let's let that be our... That's a dwarf. Dwarfs are not on that list. Maybe we'll take Rankle and Torbern out, and we just do outlaws. I don't have one copy of that though, but... Assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. Still don't like it. I like this guy here. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. Okay. Destroy target card. Destroy target creature by controls, then draw a card for each creature that died this turn. Yeah. The idea here is this makes them... We want them drawing cards, or us drawing cards, to be able to affect the life totals. Alright, I said we play Cecil. Let's do that. We get 2 copies of him. Whenever Cecil deals damage, you lose that much life. Then if your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, untap Cecil and transform him. Then it gets lifelink and other attacking creatures gain indestructible to end a turn. So let's take off this. Let's put some creatures in. Okay, so we're going to put some creatures in. We know we got... couple Phyrexians. We've got a 1/1 with flying, which means first turn we put a flying on there. They also have Death Touch if you pay 1 black. Death Touch means it can block a 9/9 and it will literally kill it as a 1/1. So, ideally you're going to put 3 and 4 copies of cards in. Let's talk about the rule of 9. It's probably not going to play in this case. The rule of 9 is another thing you can do when you first start learning how to play decks, or put decks together. Ideally you want 4 copies of every card. So if you do 4 times 9, that's 36. Plus your 24 lands, that's your 60 card deck. So you pick your 9 best cards, 4 copies of each of them, and roll out. We can do that here if we really want to. Unfortunately, these guides are one-offs, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can pretty much do 4 copies of pretty much everything else we want to. That's not as much fun for me, but that's really a way you can easily build a deck if you get lost. Let's see. Target opponents, anything they control, and or cards in the graveyard. Deals a crime. Interesting. And this is why it's so fun to build decks, because you have so many different things going through your head. What can I do with this? What can I do with that? I really like that card. I've seen decks be built around just a card. I like the art. Build a card around it. Go for it. So we've decided we want Cecil to do some work, and we want Sheldred to do some work, and we want Mishra to do some work. Now we just have to get there, okay? So I'm going to go back here. Let's think of how we're doing this. Let's look at black cards first. If I put Butterfly Swarm in here, Battlefly Swarm. I now have 4 of those. It's a 1/1 for 1 with flying, which means we'll get through most of the time. If it's not, you can pay an extra black and kill whatever's blocking it. I like that. Let's see what else. This says flying and lifelink. When the creature enters, look at an opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it until the creature leaves the battlefield. It's okay. Toxic Abomination kind of works well with Cecil, because we're trying to get Cecil down to half our starting life total, and then go back up. So it's also a 3/2 for 2. I kind of like that. That goes well with. Let's see. Sacrifice another Phyrexian and get a 1/1 crouch counter on this creature. Now we're sort of making a Phyrexian deck now, aren't we? When this creature dies, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Okay. Let's see if there's anybody else we want to grab before we go into our blue. Vampire Nighthawk. My favorite card of all time. It's a 2/3 with flying, death touch, and lifelink for 3. Alright, let's look at our red cards. A 1/1 with haste, where you can sacrifice it and deal 1 damage to any target. Why is that important? Because he can attack as soon as he goes out, or if he's going to be blocked, you can just sacrifice him and just deal damage to the other person instead. Let's see, what else? Fear of missing out? Yeah. Two, 1 with reach, which means it can block flyers. Whenever land you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. It's not bad. I'm not seeing a lot of multiple copies of cards. What's Enlisted do? You may tap non-attacking attack a creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add this power to this creature's until in a turn, and then trample. It's not bad, but let's talk about trample real quick. So typically speaking, when there's damage done, you can use a 1/1 to block a 9/9 attacker. Damage doesn't go through. What trample says, if it's a 9/9 with trample, and I block the 1/1, the one toughness on the blocker absorbs the 1 damage, but then the other 8 go through to the player. So that's where trample comes in. Honestly, I don't like that one as much as I like the Battle Song Berserker. Whenever you attack, target creature control gets +1/+0 and gains menace. I like that. Alright, I think how many creatures do we have? We have 25 creatures. That's way too many. Let's get rid of some of these. Let's take these 2 out. Because I want to set probably around 18 or so. Because that gives me enough to be able to have instants, sorceries, enchantments. We're still at 22. Take one of these out and take one of these out. Okay. Let's talk about our instant sorceries and enchantments. Shocks are always good. 2 damage for 1 mana. Always a good play. 3 damage for 2 mana. Let's see. Creature control +2/+0 until in a turn. If I add a black mana to it, whenever a creature you control dies this turn, draw a card, which would give us life back if we have the other card out. Let's do that. And how about Cerberus here? Surveil 1, top card of your library, throw it away. Double, when you next cast an instant sorcery spell, your turn, copy it, you may choose new targets. Triple for third ones. What this works, how a saga card works is after you draw stuff, you add a lore counter to it. It says at the very top there with the under the parentheses there. So as soon as you play it, it comes in with 1 counter on it, and you immediately surveil 1. Next turn, as soon as you draw, you put another lore counter. It means it's in phase 2, which means double's now active. The next turn, it's phase 3, which is triple's now active. After the next turn, it's destroyed. But it's also a 3/3 creature while it's out there. So there's that too. I'm going to put Cerberus in. We're at 55 cards. I also want to see what we have on the black side. Destroy target non-artifact creature. Those are always good. Target opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice, and then you create a 0/1 Black Wizard creature token that whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this token deals 1 damage to each opponent. It's not bad. Murder's always good. We saw that one in action last game. Hero's Downfall, just like it, except you can kill planeswalkers. But now we're over again. So we'll take the Cerberus out. I'm probably going to forego Murderers for Hero's Downfall. And then we're at 60. Alright, so let's look what we got. Our mana curve's very fast. That's good. 20 creatures, 16 instants, 4 artifacts. We have no sorceries. That's okay. You don't necessarily have to have sorceries. Let's see if there's anything we're missing in particular if we do sorceries. Duress is usually a go-to. Usually, that's a nice turn 1. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. And by the way, you're seeing there's different art. So in the paper format, you've got different art styles. Some have the borderless art, which is what this is like. You see this animated a little bit. See it moving around a little bit. So on the digital format Arena, you used to have some cool cards. We'll get to the store in just a second, so we're done building our deck. So we're at 60. Let's go ahead and go with this. So first thing you can do, you can drag a card to this area to change the deck image. I'm going to drag Cecil there. So now the deck looks like Cecil. So if you look at this, the deck actually has Cecil's picture on the front of it. Card sleeves. You can collect these. I've got a metric crap ton of them. We will use... Let's use Gold Best for this one. And then you can choose an avatar. I have a bunch of companions to choose from. I got a Moogle. I've got a Chocobo. I've got an Elemental. I've got a couple Puppers. These all stand on the battlefield next to you while you're playing. Let's go ahead and I'll use the Elemental for this deck. And avatars. I've only got one unlocked. I'm not big on avatars. All they do is they show up underneath your health total. Yeah. Then you name your deck. We're going to name this Cecil Life Control. You can name whatever you want to, just for you to know what deck it is. And then we're going to save it. Done. So now we have this deck, and you see it's got Cecil's picture on it. It's a black-red deck, Cecil Life Control. Cool. We'll play with it in a second. What we're going to do at this point in time, though, is talk about how you get more cards and stuff. And then we'll finish with playing another game. So, if you go to the store, there are several ways. First thing you do is go to Deals. Go to your Deals tab. This is where you can get a lot of different card arts, okay, for gems and coins. Gems are done with real currency. You pay actual real-life currency to get gems. Gold is earned by winning games and completing quests. Okay? So you can get these cool lands for your deck. So if we go back to my collection, if I go to like a... Let's go to the basic lands. Let's go to black. I've got all of these different lands. And you get unlimited copies of them when you unlock it. So unlike in real life where if you have a cool art, you have to get enough copies of it to be able to play 24 of them, whatever it is. You literally get a swamp from basically every set you open a pack for. So that's somewhat a thing too, and you can favorite them so they end up being the default for your decks too. I like these because they're pretty cool and they're a little animated, what have you. So let's go back to the store. So that's your daily deals. You can get different card art. So if you have Jivar, you get that. You don't get the card. This is just the art. Okay. Yeah. These are just card arts. Okay, and they change every day. There's your countdown. You have your featured. So besides your deals, you've got one-time purchase where you can get, you do this question mark down here, 1,500 gems, 4 mythic wild cards, 4 real wild cards, a sleeve, and a Slimefoot avatar. So you get the avatar here, the sleeve. Let's talk about wild cards. As you open up packs, um, because you only need 4 copies of a card, unlike real life where you can have 25 copies of the duress card I showed you. Once you get to 4, it starts generating what we call wild cards. So I have 117 uncommon, 107 uncommon, 32 rare, and 13 mythic uncommons, or wild cards. So if I need to build a specific card, let's say I wanted to appease Mr. Grant here. I'm going to go find, let's say I don't want what's collected, I want not collected. I'm going to type in Kane. Here's Kane. I can craft him. Get a Kane for a rare wild card. Just craft him outright. That's it. And I have a copy of Kane. I don't want to do that because I don't want to spend wild cards yet, but yeah, you can craft any card you need. So if you want to build a deck, you're like, God, it'd be nice to have this card. You can get it if you have enough wild cards. Back to the store. You've got one-time purchase. This has got gems. This has got draft tokens, 6,500 gems, what have you. Here's your full art lands for Final Fantasy. Full art lands for Final Fantasy, different copy of it. The full basic art waste, which gives you a colorless mana. Stickers, as you play, you can give stickers as avatars. Same thing as, so there's no actual chat function. That's another thing that's cool about Arena. You don't have to worry about doing flaming you while you're playing. They can only do certain chats that are approved and do stickers. That's it. You can buy 90 packs. You can buy avatars. Where do you? Kefka. Tomberry avatar would be cool. You've got all the borderless lands, so the dual lands we have, so like you saw the Midgar I have, you can get the borderless ones. You get the borderless styles of these. Get these. I mean, so you have all sorts of things you can do. Companion of the month, what have you. So let's talk about how you earn coins. So a lot of these you can do, and that's how I get most of my alternate arts, is I'd use the coins on them. If you go back here, you have quests every day that you can do. And these have to be done, I believe these can be done with AI. These ones can. These can over here. We'll get to that in a second. But now, if I cast 20 white or blue spells against the AI, doesn't matter what they are. Spells mean they could be creatures, they could be spell, or they could be instants, sorcerers. Anything played for hand is called a spell, because you're a sorcerer. So if it gets 20, I get 500 coins. Blue or green spells, blue or black spells. Here's a thought. Can I do just blue spells and do all of them once? You sure can. You can just go mono blue and just knock them all at once. And then you have 1,750 coins right there. Go back the next day, do it all over again. Once you feel a little comfortable, you can go in and try to do wins on occasion. You can get up to 15 wins a day, and it gives you all sorts of rewards. Gold mastery points. XP, which we'll get to XP in a second. Here's your mastery. If you go up here to mastery, this is what XP gets you. You have your regular mastery rewards. So if I get to level 2, I get a pack for free. Level 4, get a pack for free. 5, I got a mastery orb. I'll show you what that is in a second. Or you can spend the coins. You can spend the coins. You can spend the gems and get the mastery pass. This is basic. This is Mastery Pass. Mastery Pass gives you everything up here, plus what's down here. So I get a Orb and a Titus alternate art. Orb and a Charlian alternate art. I get 2 mythic cards. Insomnia. 2 more packs. So I think that runs, I think it's about 25... Was it 25 bucks? Hold on. I'll tell you. It may not show me because I've already got it. I've already got it, so it's not going to show you. But you can buy the Mastery Pass right from here, or you can go to the Mastery and get it. So that's the Mastery Pass. The gems within the orbs of the Mastery Pass basically just give you alternate arts. Sleeves, alternate arts. There's nothing to be gained. There's no... The only pay to win, if you want to say, is you can buy as many packs as you want. And then eventually you get wild cards and get that. Other than that, you can go as free as you want to. Almost everything in this game is driven by these coins. There are some things you have to use gems for, and usually those are entrances to like tournaments and stuff. But almost everything you see can be used with coins or gems. Packs, coins or gems. Oh yes, you may have to have a lot of coins to get it. Save you from buying gems. Gems are roughly at a rate of, I think it's 170 gems a dollar, something like that, give or take. Bundles, you saw some of those already on the one page. Cosmetics, here's where you buy a bunch of your, I'll show you where I had the avatars. These are the avatars. You can buy companions. You can buy sleeves. So if you really love Sephiroth, you can have Sephiroth as your avatar. Or sometimes they have decks available. That's it. That's where you get all those. Profile. Here's where we set some titles. If you're someone who likes to hunt achievements, we've got those. Emotes, where you set your emotes, you set your stickers. Companions, I showed you all those already. You can set your default. Sleeves, same thing. Some are animated, some are not. This one crackles. This one does not. That one doesn't. This one does. And then avatars, like I said before. So, Terra, Rydia, Gilgamesh, Kefka. Pretty much got one from every game. I'm not gonna lie, I might get the Tonberry though. We'll see. Achievements, if you're someone who likes to chase achievements, I have a whole bunch of them. They really don't give you anything. The Color Master ones will. I believe they give you additional starter decks, but that's it. Alright, so let me see if I've covered everything I wanted to cover. I have covered what Magic is. I have covered why we're doing Magic Arena. I have covered the parts of a card. I've covered what the colors do. I have covered what mana does and how to get mana. How combat works. The different phases of a turn. I've encouraged you to play the tutorial when you get in so you can get your free decks to start out. Showed you the different parts of Magic's Game of the Arena, how you earn some coins, how you can do gems, what the wild cards are and how to get those. Cover the quests. I covered very briefly the different play formats. That's what I'm looking for. Covered play against AI, the bot matches versus other people. Talked about building a deck. We talked about how to build a deck with, if you look at our deck, we talked about making sure we have 60 cards. We talked about making sure we have 24 lands. We talked about kind of the balance between creatures and win conditions versus everything else. Setting your avatars, companions, sleeves, naming your deck, mana curve. The land ratio will actually be done for you in Arena. If you're building a deck on your own outside of Arena, such as with paper cards, you're typically what you're going to want to do is count up the number of dots or symbols on your cards. So you can see over here, if we count up our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But you have to multiply by this. It's better off to do it when you do it with real cards. You set all your cards down. You just count the number of actual required mana, what I'm calling dots. And the ratio from black to red is how much black mana availability or swamps versus mountains you should have. So if you end up having, let's say, 30 black dots and 20 red dots, the ratio is 3 to 2. You're going to want roughly 15 swamps to 10 mountains. That's 25, so you probably go 14, 10. But that's how you do your lands. Okay. We talked about mulligans when you start the game. You start with 7 cards. If you don't like those 7, you reshuffle, draw 7, put one on the bottom of your deck, the one you don't want. If you don't like the 7 you draw, you shuffle them, draw 7, pick 5 this time, put 2 in the bottom of your deck. You do that all the way down to 1. We talked about winning by taking the opponent's life total to 0. There are other ways to win. The other most common one is called milling. We talked about milling, which is have someone take a card from the library and put it directly in their graveyard. You start with a deck of at least 60. If you are unable to draw a card at any time because your library is empty, you lose. So there are decks that are actually designed to make you throw a bunch of cards from your library back to your discard pile. That's it. I mean, you've got plenty of YouTube channels out there that deal with Magic because it's been a long time. Twitch channels out there that have Magic players. There are Magic tournaments for both paper, for the Magic Online, which is the digital actual currency value format, and you actually have tournaments now for Arena as well. One thing to note is the difference between paper and the other digital forms, Magic Online and Magic Arena, is you do not own any of this. That is a disclaimer I have to give you. Arena's been around, Magic Online's been around, but at any given time, if they decide to close up shop, you do lose everything. That's the bad side to it, but that's with any digital game you put money into. So I just have to put that disclaimer out there. This is not yours. Yeah, that's it. So before we go, let's go ahead and run our new deck, our new Cecil deck we tried. Let's go to play. We're going to find a bot match. We're going to play our Cecil deck. And we're going to hit play. We'll play our Cecil deck. I'm going to go through it slow and easy again. And then we'll be done. I mean, let's see what we got. We have a swamp and 2 mountains. We've got a 1 cost, 3. So we got a creature. We can take out one of their creatures with this. We can take another creature with that, and get to this guy if we draw into the land. We go first. Typically speaking, if you are not going first, if you're going second, you get to draw right off the bat. So you may take a few more risks with your lands than you would do if you go first. We immediately have to play. I'm okay because we can play this Battlefly Swarm off the bat and still be going. So I'm going to keep this. Typically, 3 or 4 lands is what you want to have in your starting hand. If you have 2, you generally mulligan. If you have 5, you generally mulligan. We call that mana starving or mana flooding. Having too little or too much. So we'll keep the 7.
Hey, look! I'm a planeswalker.
Hi. I can change the color. If I click on this thing, that's pretty cool, huh? Alright, so we're going to play our Swamp. And then we'll play our Battlefly Swarm. And we'll pay the black man to play it. It's going to come out. We're done. They're going to play a forest. They're done. There's the guy. So, I'm going to make sure we stop at these things. I'm going to play a land for turn. We have 2. I'm going to go ahead and Cecil doesn't do anything when he comes in. He'll have Summoning Sickness. So we'll probably play him on our second main phase. Because if for whatever reason they can put someone out there, it's still early, we still have Lightning Strike back, and we have 2 mana up to where we can actually play this, okay? Plus, if we have to need Death Touch, we still have the mana up to be able to add Death Touch to our Butterfly. So we're going to put the guy out there. And we'll be done with our turn. So I'm going to make sure we stop at their turns so we talk about their stuff too. Alright, so we're going to pass their turn. They're going to draw. They're going to play a forest. They're going to play a woodland mystic, which is that like the Eleanor Elf, but it costs 1 in a green. So it's not quite as good as Eleanor Elf. But that can tap and add mana, so they're going to ramp that. Okay. It can't do it this turn because it comes out with Summoning Sickness, so it can't tap. But next turn they'll have an additional mana. Alright, my turn. Play another land for turn. Now, we have a couple options. We can swing with both of these with no problem. This guy's got Death Touch, Cecil, so it doesn't matter who's blocking him, they're going to die. Whenever he deals damage, I lose that much life, and our goal is to get down to 10. Because if we have less than or equal to half of our starting life total, we make Cecil transform into the Redeemed Paladin. I mean, it's got the lore going on. And you see the lore. I suppose this is my fate as a Dark Knight. Soon, I won't even feel remorse for my actions. Brooding Cecil. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and attack with both of these. I'm going to save my Lightning Strike. Reason being is they're probably going to play... Actually, I'll probably deal one now so I can get rid of one of their mana, but... I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to hope they have another forest. They use 4 mana to play a creature that has 3 toughness. And we'll just take it off the board. Alright. Add 1 mana of any color. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, add 2 mana of anyone instead. So he's going to attack and tap that, so he can't use it for mana anymore. Pass for damage. I'm going to go ahead and burn one and get this guy off the board. So we'll pay a red. So now we'll slow them down a little bit on the mana front.
Aww.
They have no blockers. I don't have any mana. I don't get to play a mana on turn 4. Okay? I can't play this guy because I don't have 2 black mana. I only have 1. But I have this one. Destroy target non-artifact creature. So as long as it doesn't say artifact and creature in its card type, I can destroy it with this as an instant for 1 and a black. So we're going to hang on to that and attack. We're going to take 2 damage again from Cecil. So we're down to 15. And we'll go to their turn. They're going to play Rumbling Baloth at 4/4. It's a big baddie. They're going to attack for 1. We'll take the 1. And then, before our turn, we'll go ahead and get that big baddie off the board. 1 and a black. So now we don't have to worry about it blocking.
Aww.
We still don't have mana. We're getting get a little rough. So we're basically racing them at this point in time. So they're going to play Affectionate Indrik. It's a 4/4 creature. When this creature enters, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. So it's going to automatically fight one of my creatures. It says may, they don't have to. But before we even go to combat, they're going to fight. Okay? They're going to fight Cecil. Alright, Cecil's got Death Touch, which means the 4/4 is going to die anyway, even though Cecil only has 2 power, or attack. Whenever he deals damage, I lose that much life. So I'm going to go down to 10. Okay? Which is half my life total. Which means he should untap and flip over. So not the best move
Thought I saw something.
by Sparky. But let's play through. So I'm going to 10. Uh-oh. Cecil died. That's the downside of that. I didn't even play that through. That's a fault of mine. So Cecil took enough damage to die, so he doesn't get to untap and flip over. That's a mistake on my part. Let's hope we get a black, There we go, there's a swamp. Alright, we're gonna put Sheldred out there. I'll get some life back here, hopefully. I might as well attack. I don't have the black mana to give him Death Touch, so... They lose 2 life for drawing a card. They're just going to pass. They're not going to try to attack into my 4/5 here. I draw a card. I gain 2 life. I now have a shock. Deal 2 damage to any target. I now have lightning strike, 3 damage to any target. So we can win here. In theory. I'm going to go ahead and use my shock to get the Mystic off the board. That will allow shoulders to go through unblocked. Okay. They're down to 2. I can now use my lightning strike right to the player. And that's it.
Congratulations. You've done it.
And that's another game of Magic. Alright, so this was a 2-hour-long crash course on Magic the Gathering. How to play, how to build a deck. All of that I just covered right before this game here. I'm not going to go over it again. There are friends lists. So we have this down here. Got a friends list. You can add a friend this way, direct battle. So when we're doing this play here, if you go into find match and you do a standard play, best of 1 or 3, it'll match you with anybody. You've even got ranked formats too. When you get good, you do ranked, so you can do that. Or you can do direct challenge. You can direct challenge any of your friends that happen to be online. You pick your deck. You pick your opponent. You pick your format. You can type them in directly, or if you want to go to your friends list, you can. If they're online, you can battle them directly. I have no online yet right now, so. So yeah, so my information is right there below here. Rexel number 29458. Very similar to Discord. You have your visible name Rexel, but it's got the little qualifier at the end of it. But yeah, if you want to friend me when you get on here, go ahead and do so. I'd love to walk you through it. I'd love to, hop into. One of the best ways to do this too is once you get the tutorial, if you want to hop into a game, we can hop into Discord. We can walk through a game together while we're just going at our own pace. That sort of thing, we can do that. So I'm going to upload this to YouTube, and I'm going to splice it out by topic. So you can go through and look at it, each topic as you need to. If you find that there's more information you want and want me to cover something else in greater detail, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, direct message me on Discord, leave a comment on the YouTube channel under the video. Let me know what you'd like to see, and I can do a follow-up video to cover that. Again, Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering, the set just went live today. As far as physical inventory goes at your local card or comic book shop, your board game shop, one of those. I will say that this is the most anticipated and successful Magic the Gathering set that's come out ever. They've already announced that in terms of sales. So you may want to call up there first before you drive down there to try to get some product if you're looking for physical product. Magic the Gathering Arena, it's already here. It went live on Tuesday. All you have to do is sign up for an account. Go through the tutorial. They will give you free cards at the end. It won't necessarily it might give you a pack of Final Fantasy cards. This is the newest set. Let me see if I can't. Let's see if I can find some arena codes here. Yeah, you can't. They don't have a code out yet for. Let's see if I can find it here. So there's some packs you can get online still by using codes. If you go to the store here, this is also where you'll put the code in the event that you go buy like physical packs and you get a redemption code for digital. Let's see if I can find a... I don't want set card, I want a code. Okay, so yeah, be careful. You can buy codes online. I generally don't do that because you have to be very careful what you're purchasing. The code may be expired when you use it. I know there were, I don't think those are even standard legal anymore. You used to be able to go to a couple sites and it would have a list of free arena codes. And I don't think those are still available. Yeah, so I think there's a... There's a page on Magic's website that's dedicated to arena codes that you can look through. Tells you where you can buy product to get those codes and what have you. But yeah, I would recommend going through the tutorial. Should give you, like I said, I think it's 10 decks if you play all the way through. So you'll have plenty of cards to go by. I got 15. So yeah, go through those. If you have any questions, again, reach out to me via Discord, leave a message in, comment my YouTube video when I upload it, which I should upload later today, and go from there. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. My name is Drexel, the Gamer Dad again, and this has been a Magic the Gathering how-to and tutorial. Thank you so much, and have yourself a wonderful evening.